Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. This is our TNA show for the week. My name is George Coles. This is my tag team partner Tracy Smothers.
Wild-eyed Southern boy, bitches. Gary Rhodes, everybody. Tracy fucking Smothers. Smother you in your sleep.
I'll go right into the show. The first match was to be Chavo and Hernandez versus Aries and Rude. However,
this is one of their best outings, I think.
They got demolished by the Aces and Eights.
Liked it.
And Aces and Eights set the tone for what the night was going to be. It was a night all about Aces and Eights, basically. And basically dared Hulk Hogan to fire them.
When we get more to the show, I'll talk about how I feel more about the Aces and Eights.
Alright. Sucker. But it was a nice opener, a hot opener, kind of reminiscent of the WCW days.
They even mentioned that in the beginning, though, so they're more powerful than the NWO.
Which I thought was kind of a bad thing to mention, because it's... The NWO's looked on so fondly, and the Aces and Eights has been crapped on so totally, that if it wasn't Bubba Ray Dudley, I think it would have been a totally terrible...
Bubba was a great reveal. I mean, a lot of people can say what they want to, but he was a great reveal at the pay-per-view to be the president, and he got a championship.
You know what I was thinking is it's always kind of been built for Bubba or Double J.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it be funny if Double J came back to save his company and was a face? Jeff Jarrett.
I mean, is Jeff done wrestling though? That's the thing.
I think he wrestles in AAA still. I think I might. I mean, I don't know. I don't think he's he's not older than Sting or Hogan.
No, I mean, of course, it'd be better than
them building the Hogan versus Bully,
which it's going to be an abomination for the whole freaking company, I think.
Anyway, speaking of something that wasn't an abomination, we had a Divas tag team match: Gail Kim and Tara versus Mickie James at Velvet Sky.
Really good match.
And again, we got furthered the Gail Kim versus I forget what her name, Taryn Terrell storyline. I keep wanting to call her Tiffany from WWE, but anyway, that storyline got furthered. The match itself was pretty decent. It wasn't nothing really to write home about, though. Mm-hmm. And then after that, we got a rematch from the pay-per-view, Robbie E versus Big Rob Terry. Almost the same match from the pay-per-view.
Originality, my friends, something they lack.
Although I do like Rob Terry. I kind of like where they're going with him. I hope he eventually breaks a little of the goofiness about. I mean, a little bit of the dancing, but the whole routine is longer than your match thing. He's a good... I mean, he could be played up as somebody that could be a good asset to them.
He could be an ass-kicking monster, or he could be an ass-kicking babyface.
Yeah.
You know, the whole... It's kind of like the Brodus Clay and WWE thing, you know? I think they're missing this guy's niche. You know what I'm saying? Everybody compares him to Batista, and he could be the next Batista. He has a great look about him. He just needs someone like a Ric Flair, someone that's been seasoned.
Sting?
I'm talking about to take him to the ring, though. You need someone different than Sting. You need somebody that's who's not really busy right now. That's an older wrestler that could really help Rob Terry out. Who do you think would be great for his character?
As far as that they have under contract already?
Or they could put under contract. I mean, Luger's not doing nothing right now. I think Luger would be decent for him. Yeah. Luger, I mean...
Or, Harley Race. Kind of like he did with Vader. I don't know if Harley's health is.
I don't know if Harley's health. But I think Luger or someone like that would be fine. Him and Sting are tight, so it's not going to be hard to get him in the company.
What about a Buff Bagwell?
Buff has a lot of stink about him, though. I don't know if TNA wants him or not.
It would kind of work if he goes with a kind of Buff Bagwell type gimmick.
Mm. Look what Buff don't get the credit he deserves for help bringing out Big Papa Pump.
He doesn't get the credit he deserves for bringing out Chipper Jones.
It's a different story altogether. Talking about wrestling business, not the guy's personal life.
And back on track. We had the Stinger got pretty much told by Hulk Hogan to leave, and as he was leaving, he ran into Bobby Roode and Austin Aries, who kind of poked the bear at him. And I like how they were talking, we could both beat you, and Bobby Roode kind of backs away. And Sting points, I got you tonight, Aries.
Right to his forehead. Which, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't mind I like seeing Aries wrestle, and him and Sting could put on a good match. But it really is against storyline. He just fought the Aces and Eights. The Aces and Eights screwed him over. Wouldn't it be good if he took on one of the lower level aces and eights? Took on Bischoff or took on Briscoe, one of them guys?
Doc.
Anybody. I think it would have been better to stick with the storyline instead of adding Roode and Aries into it. That's the lack of the continuity in the business, you know, in their storylines.
And then we had after that, we had the teased return of AJ Styles, which at first brought out Daniels and Kazarian.
What a rush!
Did you like when they came out dressed as the Legion of Doom? Did you like when Kaz said, "You tell him, Chris"?
Yeah. These two guys are money, dude. I mean, TNA is missing the boat on it. At least they're giving these guys spots. But I mean, they could give these guys longer, and I would be more appreciative than some of the matches they've thrown, or some of the other backstage segments that they've thrown at us. The four reasons I watched this show were Aries, Roode, and the Legion of Boom. I mean, they're just the best on the mic right now in that company, and they're not nowhere near their title. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Bully. I'm not saying nothing against them, but those five should be right around the top of the company, and they're not.
Well, maybe they should. Maybe when the teased X Division changes come about, maybe they'll get back in the X Championship.
Something, man.
Or even TV title. But anyway, then we had that brought out. Did it bring Storm came out first? And they were working over Storm, which brought out AJ that chased him out. And AJ stood in the ring and clotheslined Storm. Which kind of, if you think about it...
Storm caused his downfall.
No, if you really think about it, 1997, there was another face of the company that kind of changed his look, started hanging out in the rafters, and was questioned on what he was doing when another Rebel group was around.
You talking about Sting 2? This could be Sting 2.0?
It looks. I mean, when you were watching it, didn't you remember Sting?
Yeah.
When he said to Luger, the only thing about Sting is that there's nothing, or whatever he said. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I don't think it's going to end up being like that. I think that he's on that losing streak.
And you don't think he's going to be the savior?
I think it's going to be a nice heel run for him, but more of a badass heel run. Because he's never really had a badass heel run. He's had the cocky heel run. He's had the do-boy heel run, but he's never really had that badass heel run. I think that would legitimize AJ Styles.
Coming out of that, we had a match that I really enjoyed: Christopher Daniels versus James Storm. These are two guys I like. I know you're not as high on James Storm.
Well, that came before.
No, it came before. It came after.
No.
Because remember he said...
No, the match happened, then they jumped him when Storm got the win, and then AJ came out to make the save.
Okay.
There we go.
Whatever.
So, the match was great, though. I thought the match was great. I mean, other than Taz saying, "What's that on top of Daniel's head?"
Well, it's obviously pain.
Exactly. You know, it's just...
Taz, between this and the pay-per-view, his announce work has been off pretty badly. And I don't know if it's they're forcing him to play more of a heel and it's not a natural fit, or he just doesn't care anymore. He's mailing it in, which is possible.
It's true.
It's damn true. Speaking of that, mailing it in, we had our question of the week and we got some mail about it.
Mailing it?
That was a good segue, wasn't it?
Push the envelope.
Yeah. Question was, last week we had our winner for the gut check segment, Lady Tapa. Did you think she deserved to win? Now we got an answer from one of our friends, Joshua Adams 1044. I'm glad that Tapa won. She's got a lot of upside to her. What did you think, Gary?
I think with some more training, she could be the next Awesome Kong. I mean, she's still green. I think, you know,
but her size is just...
Exactly. You know, you use that as an asset. Look at Big Show. Look when he was the Giant. His in-ring ability at first was less than desirable. And right now, he can put on a great match. My only qualm with him is heel face, heel face, heel face. You know? That's the only thing with him. In ring, he's money. The same thing, I think, could be with her.
I think the right person won. I think the only issue I have with it is if she was going to win the contract, she should have won the match.
Exactly.
That bothered me a little bit. But I do think the right person won out of Ivelisse and Tapa. I think Tapa would, to me, watching it from afar, she was the more interesting character. Okay. The whole backstory with the Barbarian, all that tied in, her look, her size. She doesn't look like any of the other divas, and that, to me, that's a good thing.
I mean, she's more. If you take right now, one of the biggest divas in WWE is what, Tamina Snuka.
Yeah,
she's bigger than Tamina, and I mean, I think with a little bit more work with her, I think she could be better.
Exactly. Now, we appreciate the answer. Now, going on to the question of the week for this week, there is a rumor out there that RVD, Rob Van Dam's contract has elapsed at this point. Do you think that TNA should re-sign Rob? Not, do you think Rob's going to come back? Do you think they should bring him back? Let us know what you think. Hit us up on our Twitter. Hit us up on our Facebook. Put it down where?
Down there.
Right down in the comments. And we'll let you know what we think about that next week. Now back to the show. We had Joseph Park in the ring talking about, coming from Chicago, his law firm, which brought out Matt Morgan. Which, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Matt Morgan attached to Joey Ryan?
Yeah, they broke that up.
But they didn't split or nothing.
They realized it was just a bad idea. But then Morgan's not on the pay-per-view, but Joey Ryan was. I don't get it. I think a match between these two is going to be good. Though, nice slow build-up, though.
The only thing I didn't like was the end that it got botched, where Park didn't turn right way, and he had to give him the big boot instead of the carbon footprint.
Yeah.
It was a nice build. For next week, they're going to have the match. And speaking of matches that were made earlier,
Park is still a greenhorn, though. You got to remember that. He's new to the business.
Are you kayfabing me?
It's K-Fab.
Okay. Are you going to rib me next?
Are you hungry?
Anyway.
I like the character, man. I'm sorry.
Speaking of matches that were made earlier, we have Austin Aries versus Sting. I thought it was a decent TV match. I didn't think it was bad.
I thought it was a great TV match. And the only thing I said that bothers me with this match was it wasn't an Aces and Eights member. Sting's main thing is against the Aces and Eights.
Well, maybe he needs to shut up and just point his bat and he'll get it.
I don't know.
It's showtime, folks.
And, honestly, I think it's time to start building up some of these younger guys.
I liked it. I thought it was good. I did. I liked how it ended up. I liked everything about it.
You know what's starting to remind me of with the Ace and H, though? Is remember the New Blood versus the Millionaires Club?
Sure.
That's towards the end of WCW. That's what it's getting to. Hogan, Sting, Flair, all the millionaires.
Well, I think they're trying to recreate it. I think they're trying to recreate the NWO. Put a little spin with the biker gang thing. And I think that's what they're doing with it. And the NWO worked because it was fresh.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the storylines, everything reminds me of the NWO. The Sting matches, the AJ Styles, the beginning of the show, the end of the show, where we had Aces and Eights coming out and basically challenging Hogan to fire him again, which, while we're talking about Hogan, our Hulk Hogan Thunderlips count of the week, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times! 5 times! 5 times!
5 times?
5 times!
Sucker! Anyways.
Hulk Hogan?
We coming for you. Anyways. Anyways, I'm liking the Aces and Eights now. Not as, not like a giant fan, but Bully Ray brings a lot to the table with this group.
The only thing that doesn't make sense is that D'Lo Brown ranks higher than Devon Dudley.
I think they'll eventually move that thing around.
Yeah.
It's just D'Lo was perfect for that spot then. Now that Bully's the president, I think there are gonna be some changes in the company. There were changes with the NWO at first. I'm liking it. They're trying. I think with Bully being the president of the organization, I think it's going to be a lot more entertaining.
I think that tonight the Aces and Eights looked as good on that show as they have since they were first brought on the TV.
This is the best they looked in months.
Ever.
Yeah.
This is the strongest they looked. The only thing I didn't like is when they finally had the TNA guys come out.
WWS.
It reminds me
of
it does.
So I don't blame you.
When the TNA guys ran to the ring, there was a lot of standing around and waiting instead of more like a frenetic, kind of. I hate to compare them, but if you look at how the Shield moves, they move and there's no wasted motion. They're always attacking. Aces and Eights were waiting around looking for Angle to hit so they could set up a set move on Angle. Looking for Sting to hit so they could set up a set move on Sting. I do like that they destroyed the roster. I think that was... Yeah. As bad as they've been booked and as poorly as they've made to look, destroying the roster is what they need to give them back some credibility. The fact that they have 2 of the championships, I'd like to see them try and get all the championships and actually have all the championships. And that way, it'll show that they're a real force and they're really dominant.
Like give Briscoe or Bischoff the X Division title?
No, I wouldn't either.
Which one would you give it to? Anderson?
I think they'd have to get somebody else to be an X title. I'd put Doc and Nux as a tag team and make them the tag team champions. And then I'd put, someone like Rude or someone like Aries turning, or even Zema Iron joining the group, or Kenny King. Kenny King, someone that would fit in there.
He would.
Or even a new kid coming out that they make their X Division champion.
But I agree with you. This is the strongest they've looked in a while, and they need it because we were getting tired of it. A gimmick like that should only last about a year, and it's coming up on it. And I think the first couple months they were nice and it was fresh.
Yeah.
Then we kept wanting the reveals, then we get the reveals, and some of them were so lackluster it really was like, what the fuck?
Well, I think every reveal except for Taz, Devon, and Bubba were the only ones that I was impressed with.
No, of course. I mean, they're the best talkers they got in the group. I mean, Anderson's good, but
he wasn't a reveal as much as a recruit.
Exactly. Now, the best thing would have been for Anderson's career, because he's going to get lost in the flow.
Yeah.
No, he's a former champion.
Is to break him up from the inside.
Or just turn face on them, Have them attack somebody, and then he just gets a little soft on it, and then...
Yeah, somebody that he considers a friend.
Exactly. That's what they need.
Now, before we get into our ratings, we go to a 1 to 5 rating in case you've never watched our shows. And basically, 5 being the best, 1 being the worst. A 5 is a Kurt Angle, a 4 is a Christopher Daniels, a 3 is a James Storm, 2 is a Christian York, 1 is a Garrett Bischoff. I'll go ahead and let you go first.
I was impressed. I really was. Seeing the steaming pile of shit we had last, I'm going to give it a Daniels. Just for the plain simple fact, I was impressed with...
So you're going all the way to 4.
I went all the way to 4. Because I was impressed with the Legion of Boom. I mean, it was something I liked. The Aces and Eights looked very strong. I was getting tired of them getting shit on. I did kind of like the Park thing. And I liked Chavo and them getting the shit kicked out at the beginning of the show.
I'm giving it a 3 as Storm. I'm giving it a James Storm. For a couple reasons. The Robbie E. and Rob Terry match was basically the same match over again. A couple of things. With them spreading out the pay-per-views so far apart now, which is a good thing, they should be building storylines and instead of having throwaway matches like you said with Aries and Sting. I did like Daniels vs. Storm. That was probably my highlight of the night. The general standing around in the last segment I liked that they looked strong, but the general standing around made the segment look weak to me. And the amount of time I seen Hulk Hogan on my screen just knocked it down, because I don't want Hulk Hogan to be in this. I want actual wrestlers. I want Kurt Angle to be in this. I want Samoa Joe. I want Jeff Jarrett to come back and be in this. Not that Jeff Jarrett's one of my favorites, but he's an active wrestler. He's not like Hulk Hogan, who should have retired 15 years ago.
Exactly. Well, the thing with Jarrett, it makes so much more sense to have him come back because this was his company.
Yep.
He helped create this. This was his baby.
Exactly.
And how much better would it be for him to come back and save the company?
Hero.
Exactly.
When everybody thought he was part of it.
Exactly. And that would make so much better. He said, I left with Immortal because I was here, and, everybody thought I was a part of this. I have nothing to do with this, and I'm going to fix this. I'm going to fix this mistake. Just some kind of good promo. And Jeff Jarrett, I mean, you can say what you want to about the guy. The guy was great on the mic.
Oh, he's not... The only problem I have with Jeff Jarrett is he pushed himself further than he should have went. Jeff Jarrett's a great upper middle card wrestler, sometimes champion. He's not a great face of your company. He's a great in the kind of the Christian role.
Mm-hmm.
Not in the Hulk Hogan role. Not in the John Cena role. And that's what he pushed himself as, and that's where the backlash came from, I think. But basically, that's all I have for the show.
That's it for me.
You had that?
That's it for me.
I'm George Coles.
I'm Gary Rhodes.
And this has been Heel Heat.